conversation. A reputation built over the years can face scrutiny in a single legal dispute. The Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, is fighting to protect his own by filing a 15 billion naira defamation suit against Adeniyi Adeyemi over allegations that he sought a 48% kickback from a 27.3 billion naira federal agency grant. Gbajabiamila is asking the court for damages, legal costs, and an order directing the defendants to publicly retract the claims and issue an apology in national newspapers and across the social media platforms where the allegations were published. Okay, joining us right about now, we have a legal practitioner, Jiti Ogunye. Jiti Ogunye, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, let's begin the conversation this way. I mean, the saga over the fake agency, PFIPC, is still raging. Let me start by asking you about your view on the matter, on the polity. How would you describe it?
Well, you know, it was a sordid incident. The allegation was heart-shaking. And the temerity behind that allegation was baffling. I mean, when somebody organized a press conference and frontally made such weighty allegations. So it was very baffling. But having received instructions, briefings about this matter, I just realized that, yes, things like this can happen in Nigeria. And, you know, those who occupy public offices run a risk, the risk of assumptions or presumptions. And so you realize that when this news broke, a number of people, even without gaining knowledge about what actually happened, I jumped to conclusion. And the social media and the mainstream media and everywhere, while some people were legitimately and understandably calling for investigation, some people didn't even bother about investigation. They were just saying, resign from office, the COS, you know, because we believe that what was said was true. So they run the risk of being viewed or perceived as, you know, corrupt politicians who, upon accusation, must be found guilty and not enjoy the benefits of being presumed innocent until they are found guilty. And so, in the public space, there's been a lot of disinformation. There's been a lot of unfounded allegations. Let me, for the benefit of viewers and many people, locally and internationally, just try a kind of summary of what the issues were and what the issues are as of today. This matter dates back to 2024, when Prince Matthew Adeyemi Matthew forged a letter purportedly written by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, conveying his so-called appointment as the DG of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council to him. The letter was dated 8 March 2024 with the directive that his appointment will date back to 1st of March 2024. And with that letter that was forged, Prince Adeyemi also forged another document that many people have not spoken about. It's just the letter, oh, it's Gbajabiamila's letter. He forged a gazette. He forged an act of parliament in the name of that fake agency. And with those two documents, he started engaging and interacting with government bureaucracy, namely the SGF office, the office of the head of service, the office of the Accountant General of the Federation, and the office of the budget, Directorate of Budget of the Federation, a budget office of the Federation. He started engaging those four critical offices. And of course, he started convening meeting with diplomats and all that. And he was doing all these, and he was interacting, writing them letters, and receiving correspondences until the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, apprehended the matter because they claimed that foreign delegations, ambassador diplomats, were asking them questions about the status of this Prince Adeyemi Matthew Adeniyi. And so that ministry wrote two separate letters on the 16th of October to the Office of National Security Advisor, inquiring about the status of this man, and then wrote another letter to the Office of the Chief of Staff, and then bringing his attention to a letter purportedly written by him, communicating the appointment, the approval of his appointment to him. And of course, immediately the Chief of Staff received that letter. The first thing he did, same date, because he received the letter on the 17th of October, same 17th of October, he wrote to the DG SSS and the Inspector General of Police, thereby kickstarting this accountability and investigation, and said, look, this guy is a scammer. I don't know him. We never issued a letter to him like this. Look at the face of the letter. The letter is patently forged. The folio, the reference number, everything, the signature is forged. I don't date my signature and all that and all that. And he wrote that letter. And the police then started investigating, although not immediately. Meantime, the Office of National Security Advisor then wrote a letter. I haven't received the letter of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, wrote that letter to the Office of the Office of the Secretary of the, to the Federation, SGF, to inquire about the status. Because ordinarily it is that office that issues letter of appointment. By protocols and procedure and practice, the Office of the Chief of Staff does not issue any letter of appointment. And once that letter was granted, the Office of the Secretary, Government of the Federation, in turn, now wrote back to the Office of the Chief of Staff, inquiring about the status. And of course, the Chief of Staff wrote back to the Office of the Secretary, Government of the Federation, stating clearly that this is a scam, this guy is not known. I've written to the police to investigate this guy and then have him arrested. And those who are forging correspondences and forging letterheads and seal of government should be arrested and all that. And again, later, as it then turned out, while all these things were going on, the police then started their investigation. And eventually, Prince Adeyemi was arrested in October last year and detained for 23 days. As at that time, nobody knew that one Prince Adeyemi, with all these claims was there. In the police report that was given, Prince Adeyemi never mentioned anything about 400 million naira being given to the Chief of Staff. He never mentioned anything about his friend dying. He never mentioned anything about using an intermediary. All these latter afterthoughts, he never mentioned anything about it. He was saying that it was legitimate. Police arrested him and then eventually charged him with an 8-count charge before the Federal High Court in Abuja. But something then strange happened. When they brought him to court after 23 days, to be charged to court, Prince Adeyemi claimed on the first date of appearance, a date should have been a date of arraignment, that his lawyer was not around, and so he should be entitled to his fair hearing. So the lawyer should be able to come and all that. And so the court said, okay, continue to enjoy your administrative bail. we'll charge you later. Another date was given. The second date, the lawyer came to court to say that Prince Adeyemi was sick. So arraignment could not take place. On the third day of adjournment, the judge did not sit. The fourth day, so Prince Adeyemi came around, it was the turn of his lawyer to be sick. That was the fourth time. The fifth appearance was the appearance, just 2 or 3 days ago, when before that time he had gone to the world to say that he was being hunted, he was going to be killed. He started calling on United Nations to come to his aid, and partisans and politicians had latched on to that, to now start using him as a weapon to traduce the chief of staff and possibly, because we are in election season, the government of the federation and the presidency. Anyway, when that then occurred, of course he ran away from court, and the judge was so angry and furious. Here is a guy that on 4 occasions, previous occasions, refused to come to court to be arraigned. The judge then issued that warrant, which then culminated in his being fished out of his hole somewhere in Osun State.
Okay.
So the point I want to round off with is that the chief of staff, in the chain of those who interacted with this man, is the least connected, save the letter that was forged. Thereafter, the man never wrote to chief of staff. The chief of staff never wrote to him directly. But I'm saying that this man, using his forged document, was interacting with these other offices, unknown to the chief of staff, that those things were going on until the chief of staff attention was then drawn to the matter, later on by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that wrote to inquire about the status. And finally, on that, because it is important for Nigeria to just ponder.
Okay, now, look, right about now, we have BK. BK has a question for you.
Okay.
BK, over to you.
Okay, I've read so many write-ups on this matter, and most of them are asking why the chief of staff to the president should not step aside so that there can be an independent investigation of this matter, since the ICPC has been mandated to investigate the matter. Why shouldn't the chief of staff simply step aside while this investigation is on? And then the chief of staff has gone to court while the ICPC has begun its work. Should these two go together? Don't you think that if the ICPC turns in its report a bit early, that it could affect the direction the matter in court goes?
Okay, thank you for these questions. The first question is about resignation. Even before I became sufficiently aware of what had gone on in this matter, I've been asked this question publicly. And my response is going to be my response now. Except it's being suggested, and nobody is suggesting that the chief of staff's continued occupancy of office will obstruct investigation and, will undermine the integrity and independence of the investigation process. Why should he resign? Because with that resignation will come, again, as I started, the assumption in the polity and perception that, there is no fire without smoke. There is no smoke without fire. Certainly, the president must have lost confidence in him. He must have done something wrong. That's why he's been excused. His resignation will be more injurious to the pursuit of justice. He's been asked to step down. Will be more injurious to getting justice in this matter than his continued occupancy of office, in my view. And in any case, that would then mean that the bidding of this man is being done because openly has called for resignation. And the political opposition has latched onto that, and they'll be trumpeting that. Oh, the United Nations should come and all that and all that. I don't think that would be fair if you ask me, quite frankly, because it's not been proven that he's guilty. The presumption of innocence still endures in his favor. And the whole idea of, suspending somebody from office, be in the public service under the civil service rule called interdiction, we have not even reached that stage because there is no indictment yet, let alone prosecution for what is done. So what would be the basis of saying that he should not continue to be in office? The second issue for me is that the issue of defamation is very important for the Chief of Staff, I believe, because here is somebody who believes he's not done anything. He didn't know this man, he has said so, he had never met with him, he had never interacted with him, he's never spoken to him in his life. Now, after that press conference, this man tried to walk it back when he had, in the social media an interview with a certain person and started saying, oh, it's a possibility that the other person that he was speaking to through the phone of his friend might not have been the Chief of Staff. Have you met him before? He said no. So how do you give him this money? Is it by cash? Is it by forex? Is it by whatever? He was evasive. He didn't want to say. Is it by transfer of money? He didn't want to say. And more than this, this is why, we understand this. I've asked myself, what is the point? At what point would this man be cashing out from this grandiose fraud? Because, unknown to many Nigerians, the man has not been able to access any money from those so-called budgetary allocation. Not the 300 million naira recurrent expenditure, nor the 800 million naira capital vote. He's not assessed one penny. So what has he gained? My surmise, my theory is that what this man wants to do is to embed himself, to have embedded in the federal bureaucracy this phony organization of his, and then use that as a basis to con so many people, including banks. You can imagine if this man had walked to the banks to say, my vote is still being expected. Give me 5 billion. We need to buy cars. We need to buy us. The bank is likely going to fall prey to these antics. It was because that intention was frustrated by the Chief of Staff, who on June 11, after he was charged to court, he didn't even want the world to know. He didn't shout out to the world. He was still hoping that he could survive with this scam, insofar as the public didn't know. But when the Chief of Staff got report that this man was still moving around and all that, in spite of what the police had done, and I had not been charged, the Chief of Staff ordered that a public disclaimer be done on June 11. So it was because of that disclaimer that this guy then went to town and started making all sorts of allegations and all that. So my summary is that this guy, who had not accessed any money, who was given a waiver by the office of the head of the federation based on those forged documents to recruit staff, but he recruited one, and therefore didn't, access that money, who couldn't spend capital vote. What was the end point? What did he want to gain? My view is that all those talk about doing this and all that is that he was still building an architecture of fraud in the federal bureaucracy so that he will have a semblance of legitimacy and authenticity, and then go to town to con people, including international people, and all that. So the man that some people are latching onto thinking that they're going to use him as a whip to lash anybody or whatever and all that, is a man who is a scoundrel, in my view, for thinking through all that kind of thing.
All right,
and the question I posed to myself finally is that, look, given the unusual embrace this man received from these federal bureaucracies, these centers I've mentioned, you know, could this be a matter of willful culpability, conspiracy, or innocent negligence? In which case, when you then see a letter